Hello, this is Jeff Byers, and we'll be taking you through how to create an animation with a tailed critter. And this rig allows us to go ahead and test some follow-through and squash and stretch. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we start off with the basic control main. That's the center ring around, and we have our squash and stretch on top, and we have our rotational values that we can use on the tail, so you can go ahead and get that set up. Right now we're going to go ahead and set the keyframes for the up and down animation. So let's go ahead and click on settings preferences. So you can either click on the guy that's running away from a gear on the lower right hand corner, or you can go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and Preferences. And here we're going to have in Settings, we're going to set the time to 24 frames a second. And down in the time slider, we need to set our playback speed to 24 frames per second times 1. Click on Save. And when you go into your panels, go ahead and go to Orthographic and go to the Side View. We also need to set up our panels as well. So let's go ahead and go into layouts, and we want, well, let's go ahead and do saved layouts first. Go saved layouts and then go to your perspective graph editor. Okay, and we want to do side by side. Let's go ahead and go to panels, and we're going to go to layouts, and we're going to do 2 panes side by side. There we go. So now we got that. And now let's go back to panels and go to orthographic and then go to the side view. Alright, so we're going to animate from the side view, and you can see that our graph editor is on the side, and what we're going to do now is going to hit the W key. So one last thing though, when we get started, I want you to know that we're going to go ahead and click on auto keyframe. Usually that's a very dangerous tool to use if you're new at this, so I'll go ahead and tell you when to turn it on and when to use it. Right now we're going to go ahead and keyframe the up and down motion of the critter. So I'm going to go ahead and move it up. And in the translate Y, let's go ahead and just type in 9. This is arbitrary. You can go ahead and go higher or lower if you want, but it will change the timing if you do that. So let's go ahead and set that. So I'm going to go to under the control main right next to translate Y, I'm going to go ahead and select it and key select. I'm going to go ahead and go to frame 12, and we'll just type in 0. There we go. And we'll go ahead and right click and click on select key. And then we're going to go down to 22. So basically we're going to take 0, copy that, and then we're going to go to 22 and paste it, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and move my time slider back to 22. So we're just going to follow, we're going to have a looping animation, so we're just going to follow that from 0 to 22. So we have an animation that looks like this. Okay, it's very mechanical, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over in here and we're going to hit the F key. And to take care of the mechanical animation, we're going to go ahead and select the tangent in the center on frame 12, and we're going to break that tangent by clicking on Break Tangents. Okay, that'll break that tangent. We're going to want to select one side or the other, and I'm going to hit the W key, middle mouse button, drag it up as far as you can without breaking that line. We don't want to go above that line right here. We're going to do the same thing for this side over here. I'm going to hit the F key again so I can see what I'm doing, and bring it up as far as you can. Don't go beyond that, and that's almost too far, so I'm going to bring that back a little bit. Here we go. Okay, that'll work. Let's go ahead and play the animation. Now it looks like it's dropping with gravity. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop that animation. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add squash and stretch. Right, so we're going to go ahead and do the keyframes for these. So I'm going to click on the squash and stretch controller. Okay. And we're going to start off with 0. So at frame 0, I'm going to go ahead and select a key. So I'm going to right click over translate Y and right click over it and key selected. And then I'm going to go to frame 4. So we're going to let it go down just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and keyframe that again at 0. At frame 7, okay, we're going to go ahead and elongate that or stretch it out. And something around 0.73 would be good. And we'll click on that, key selected. And then on frame 11, right before it hits the ground, we want to continue that, so we can basically, and that's frame 11, not 10, so 11. And we'll go ahead and right click over that at, again, so key selected on that. And then on frame 12, we're going to flatten that out to 0.816. Negative. Let's do a negative. There we go. And then right click over that and key select. And then we're going to move down to say something like 14. And we're going to go ahead and we want to elongate that again up and somewhere around, let's say 0.553. It won't be as much as it would be going down. Okay. And we'll keyframe that because we're losing momentum, and then at 22 it will be basically at 0. We want that back at 0 again. Alright, so we'll keyframe that. Let's take a look. I'm going to scrub first, make sure all the animation's there. That looks good. So it's coming down, it's stretching out, very cartoonish. Hits the ground. And then comes back up a little bit and squashes back up and regains its shape. Okay, that looks good. So we look at the curve on this, the tangents on this, and they're all flattened, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and make sure that they are flattened. Okay, so when we play the animation, we get something that looks like this. Okay, so it's very cartoonish, right? So let's go ahead and stop that, go back to the beginning, and now we're going to basically select the tail, and we want to go ahead and get kind of a curve. So I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, I'm going to hold the shift key down and rotate that. So I'm going to kind of rotate it up a little bit. Okay, so with doing that, I kind of get this shape right here. With everything selected, I'm going to go ahead and click on the rotate and key selected. Okay, so we've got a key at frame 0. Okay, now we want to go ahead and select a key. All right, so we're down, just about down at the bottom. Here's the bottom plane, and at this point we want to go pretty extreme with the tail. So I'm going to have that all selected. I'm going to go a little bit higher with this. Okay, curl that up a little bit more, like that. And then what we're going to do is just kind of move these around just a little bit, like that. And the tip just back a little bit, like this. And we'll kind of rotate this some more. And really kind of get an extreme angle. Something like that would be good. So I think that looks pretty good. Alright, great. So I'm going to select all these. If your manipulator gets in the way, just hit the Q key and then shift select all of the controllers again. And we're at frame 10, and we'll go ahead. And what we're going to do now is, this is a good time to actually turn on auto key, because what auto key does is if you do a bunch of controllers at once, it just makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to click on this guy right here, it'll turn red, And it won't auto key right now because I've already made my changes, so I'm going to go right click over this and key selected. And then I'm going to go to frame 12, okay? And at frame 12, I'm going to kind of bend that back. So I'm going to click on the bottom one and just go all the way up like that and hit the rotate key and just kind of put that back a little bit like this. Okay, it's going to be a little looser. Bring that back down a little bit and this back down a little bit like that. And you can see that it's a little different than it was before. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back up, and you can see now with the auto key on, it should be auto keying it, but it doesn't look like it. There it is doing it now, so it's good. So I got to make sure everything is auto keyed. That looks good. Okay, and that's at frame 12. Okay, and I'm going to double check the 10, make sure that is all keyframe. And then at frame 13, that's one frame above, now we're going to see that tail go down. So now I'm going to rotate the tail down. I'm going to select everything in a row so I can get a nice keyframe for everything. And that should keyframe everything just a little bit. And then I'm going to just do this by myself. I'm not going to select more than just one and rotate down. And the idea now is to bring the tail down kind of in a curve. And what I'm doing is I'm just rotating and clicking off. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go back in here and you can see that it is keyframed the 13 on frame 13. Auto key is working really well. And then on frame 16 we'll go up and this will be an extreme. So with this I'm going to go ahead and select more than one. So I'm going to click all of these together and I'm going to rotate these like that. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in as far as I can. That looks something like that. So again, auto key is really powerful to get these keyframes in there. Alright, so and then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to frame 0. We're going to select all of these keyframes, and then what we're going to do is we're going to right click over it and go to copy, and we're going to go to the end. We're going to go to paste, paste. There we go. So now when we play the animation, we get something that looks like this. That looks really good. Alright, so we're going to stop the animation. To get it to loop properly, on the last frame 22, we want to bring the slider down to 21. So you're basically not showing 22 and it will loop perfectly. So let's go ahead and play the animation. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Right. So what you'll do now is you'll go ahead and do a play blast from the side view that you see here, but you need to turn off show none and then go to actually show all and then just turn off nurbs curves. There we go. So now you can see the object. Okay, and you can tweak as you want. This will get you going. This will get you started on follow through and squash and stretch and timing. There you go. Alright, so if you find that the animation is too long, you can always shorten it by selecting, holding down, now I have to go back here to 22, and holding the shift key down and sliding it, and you can either scale this or shorten it up. Right now I think it's okay. I think it probably might be a little bit slow because I got so many keyframes, but you can speed that up by scaling it down if you want to. Alright, that's it, and I'll see you next time for the next video.